This is the Online Prosperity Show, the number one place to hear real stories behind transformation. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And if you're watching this right now, and if you've ever felt stuck, unseen, or maybe like life has just started happening to you instead of for you, this is the episode for you, because today we're going to be talking about choice and ownership. And we're also going to be talking about rewiring your story when the odds say you shouldn't. So I encourage you to subscribe on whatever platform you're going to be watching this or listening to this on, because this is where we go beyond surface level success and we really unpack the thinking, the habits, and the decisions that actually change lives. Now, today I'm really excited because I'm sitting across and sitting down with somebody whose story will just make you pause for a second. 5 years ago, she was living on the streets of Joburg during COVID. But today, she is a successful audiovisual specialist, content creator, personal development advocate, and part of a leadership and marketing team at Curo Health. Now, please help me welcome Jean-Mari Wessels. Now, Jean-Mari, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning, Prosper. Thank you so much for having me. Truly excited about this session. Truly excited to share. My story has quite a bit of humps and hiccups that it had, but hopefully at the end of this, someone can find inspiration and know that life doesn't have to happen to you. It's how you respond to life.
Absolutely. And obviously just hearing you talk right now, I already feel like I'm in the presence of greatness, but it wasn't always like this, right? I mean, you were living on the streets in 2020 while everybody else was, obviously coughing into their elbows and being told to stay locked in. You didn't have a door to lock.
Exactly. Unfortunately, well, let me go a little bit further back. I was a child that was given everything. I was set up for success, went to university, got a degree in audiovisual production management. And unfortunately, during the final years of getting my degree, I got involved with drugs and wanting to fit in. And I had so many internal issues that I needed to face, but was not aware of how to do it yet. And because of that choice that I made, I went down a dark road. And a few years later, I was still busy with it. And it's something that I'm not proud of, but it doesn't define me. However, it's what shaped me into who I am today, the resilient person I am today, the person that sees the positive and so forth. And let's fast forward a few years forward and COVID hits. Now, the one person that I've always had in my life was my mother. She had difficult relationships with all of her partners in her life. And unfortunately, my father was abusive. So our bond was extremely strong. And in 2019, in October, she passed away. At that moment, I felt completely lost. Didn't feel like I had any direction, didn't know which way to go, and kind of just sat in a little ball by myself and said, why? And from there, it snowballed into the fact that my daughter had to live with her father. We are no longer together. And from there, just lost everything. Lost car, lost the house, couldn't afford to buy food. And one day it came to the point where tomorrow night we're going to sleep on the streets. And from there we slept on the streets, and we did everything to try and do better. It was an extremely scary and daunting situation we were in. As you said, everyone's coughing in their arms and being told to be in their homes. However, we had nowhere to go. The best and next step was to get a tent, find a church, and live on their property. So during COVID, I was living in a tent and making plans every day to have food. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for
Mhm.
opening us up with that. Really sorry to
Mhm.
hear about mom, but we're gonna obviously
What a
on
journey.
touch up on that a little bit. Now, Jean-Marie, you did mention that you were brought up as a kid who had everything. Could you maybe walk us back to what that means in terms of what your typical day would be like as a kid that had everything?
Okay, so I'm the last born of three children. My brother and I share a birthday. He's 10 years older than I am. And then I have a sister that's 7 years older than I am. My mother made sure that as a single mother, she made sure that she provided for us. We would wake up, get ready for school, have our breakfast, be driven to school, and then go to school, and obviously was expected to do our best. From there, go home. I didn't do any extramural, only arts. I was always a creative one. Go home, do the homework, try your best, and that's it. But it was this consistent mindset of it is what it is, scarcity, not having a healthy relationship with money to a certain degree. Unfortunately, my father left my mother in a lot of debt, and the consistent conversation is we can't afford it. And that does hinder people because it teaches your child not to have a healthy relationship, and that you can't afford something now, you can't attain it, you can't plan for it, you've got no idea that you could actually move forward and achieve what you are thinking about or the dream or vision that you have. So I had this as a I appreciate my family. I appreciate everything that my sister and my brother and my mother did for me. However, at the same time, I feel that we had blinders. We didn't know that there was more. We can go across country, go overseas, and we can grow and work towards what we want in life. But it was a wonderful childhood, happy memories, lots of cameras around all the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a note here about a fond memory that you had with mom when there was a foreigner concert which you and your mom went to watch when you were
I
8.
just,
Do you recall
yeah.
that day?
Yes, I recall it clearly. My mother won the tickets on a radio station called 94.7. It was almost 30 years ago. The first one that she asked to come to the concert with her was me. I was 8 years old, standing on a chair, watching the stage, and I can remember going, "Mom, there's the lead singer. I can see him," all excited. And she was beaming with joy that night. Music has always been a very big underlying thing within our family theme. My mother played the piano. We all stood around the piano, sang together. We all performed. It was just what bonded the family.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for reliving that with us. Now, you did mention two characters, your brother and your sister, just obviously so that as the journey progresses, we just want to know, how did they turn out?
So my brother is quite successful. He's a CA. He owns his own company in another province. My sister living in Cape Town, and she has her own family, doing very well. Also on her own, and the family is a bit spread out, but we're all doing well. And luckily, the black sheep changed changed her story, and I fit into the narrative now.
Absolutely.
So
And
yes.
and just maybe so we can close that loop, during the time that you were obviously tenting it and the world was upside down, did they at
Mm-hmm.
least offer a hand, and what was the outcome there?
Okay, so unfortunately, my family did at one point cut ties with me. So they did disown me, and I do understand because at that point in time, I was using and abusing any opportunity that I could to either get money, get a fix, or try and live my lifestyle. And the one that actually stuck with us was my brother. He knew he didn't want to enable us, but he knew we needed help at the same time. And together with him and my stepfather and my partner's my partner's father, they got us out of a bad area where we were living on a panel beater's property and we were completely unsafe and so forth. Yes. So we've had quite a few individuals that stood by us, even though they knew we weren't in the greatest situation. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that you make, acknowledgement to that. Now, in between all of this, you obviously went from standing on that chair at that concert to
Yes.
you attaining an audiovisual degree, and you have also introduced music as an undertone to what your family was doing. Were there any other role models that could have maybe influenced you also, whether good or bad, as you were growing up?
Okay, so I'm going to mention my stepfather. He came into the picture when I was about 13 years old. I was very against the marriage. However, he is the one that started showing me that in very slowly, but life is how you react, what you plan for. So I didn't realize that the teaching was in front of me and that the lesson was there, but I did take it in. So he was a great influence to have around. And then if I have to say a negative influence would be looking towards the glamorized lifestyle of musicians, the dark side of being the party animal in the life of the party and the one that's got it all together, but not behind the scenes, you really don't. And after having gone through all of what I've been through, I came to the realization that it's actually, we all struggle internally. We all have traumas that need to heal. And to look to someone else who is barely holding it together is not the best way to approach anything. And everybody's on their own journey. And I hope that everybody finds their healing. But find someone within your vicinity as a role model. Look to someone that you want to aspire to. Surround yourself with those 5 people. You know that one? The people that you spend the most time with is who they will influence you. So my circle is very small, but it's small for a reason. Yeah. So there's been a few influences, good and bad, but looking at the people around you and who you idolize is what you as yourself need to focus on.
Absolutely. All right. So now we've established young Jean-Marie who's at the mercy of the world. Obviously you're in the music sort of circles, all these influences happening. Just give us a rundown of what life was like, during the university days up until maybe 2019 when, no longer have mom. Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of my university years of the last year of getting my diploma, that's when I really started using drugs. And for me, it was more a thing of I need to fit in. This allows me to open up. It allows me to be an energizer bunny and not feel awkward. And that was a self-image that I was struggling with. So a daily life would be wake up, you're half asleep because you haven't slept the night before. Try and sort out your life to try and get through the day. Go to class, but not fully paying attention, but still wanting the degree as much as possible. So it's this horrible balance of trying to please everyone, but please yourself at the same time. And it was days with a lot of internal struggle, internal conversations of you shouldn't be doing this, but you feel better when you do it, and just a constant battle. It's a dark world to live in, to be dead honest. Yeah,
Absolutely. And obviously from what I'm hearing, all of these things were happening while you were still young, very you could be easily influenced when that was all happening, and very impressionable. That's basically, we're trying to look around others for ideas or points of reference and validation as well. Like you said, you wanted to fit in, but mom didn't make it in 2019, like you said.
My world fell apart then. I felt like I didn't have a friend. I felt like I was alone. I felt like she was the only one that understood me. And I was very angry. And that's one of the stages of mourning. And from there, I've come to realize that the passing of someone close is meant to be a celebration. They were here, they had an impact in your life, and and to drop everything and let your life slide away from you just because of their passing is not what they would have wanted for you. So it was a process. It was about 3 years, but I had to learn how to pick myself up again. So as soon as she passed away, I think I spent a month mourning her, and then I started looking for work. Because we were now on streets. It was a few days after she passed, we were on the streets, and we just knew at one point, this is not going to work for us. We need to find work. We need to find a place to stay. We need to somehow build something up, or else we will lose each other, or we will lose our children. Yeah, it's horrible journey.
No, absolutely. And I'm sorry to hear about mom. I mean, usually moms are the cornerstone of a household. I too lost my mom when I was 17, and I wanted to be so far away from what was happening at home as possible. I ended up in Australia, Jean-Mari. Can you believe that? So things like that, happened. But I've always told myself that mom knew I was ready. And obviously for you, I kind of feel like you needed that time to go through that, because when you're going through stuff, you think life is happening to you, but it was actually happening for you, because now you've got a remarkable story to tell.
Exactly. Yes. So her death was a big trauma to me, but as you said, I do feel like it was meant to be at that moment. It taught me to mourn, but to stand up and do it. And you can do this. Make her proud. At that point, I had my degree already for 10 years, and I hadn't used it. And I felt horrible about that, because there was one day just before she passed away in October where she looked at me and she said, when are you ever going to come right? And I didn't have an answer for her. And that makes you think. It makes you go back and go, okay, well, what am I meant to do? So we went through several different places where we stayed literally on the road, no cover, in a tent, back rooms on panel beater properties. And then one day we moved from a faraway area back to Joburg, and we were in Cosmos City. Cosmos City is where we decided, right, what's the list? What's the first thing we need to do? Both of us need jobs. We will not use anymore. We will exclude ourselves and get rid of that environment as well. From there, I walked around, and I was a radio presenter in Cosmos City for a little while, where I was on Cosmo FM. And I got a small stipend, but that started it. That's interaction between people on radio, being able to discuss cultural appropriation between a South African white woman and an African black man, and having fun talking about it. That conversation is open, telling stories, creating the arc that invite people in, that motivate people. From there, I felt a feel. It wasn't so completely strong as what it is right now, but I picked up a book, and it was called Breaking Down is Waking Up. And it was one of the best books that I read, of how we need to regress rather than progress, and unlearn things to be able to move forward in life. It was one of the best times that I had. But Cosmos City led me to move to Pretoria. And from there, that's where I was. I walked around for a month, was adamant I was going to get another job, because my partner's job was in Pretoria now. And I took a chance with a lady, and she gave me employment in her wood shop, which is next to her butchery and her water shop. And I thought to myself, well, I can do anything. If I have a degree, I might as well carry wood. And from there, it snowballed. I walked into someone there at that shop that actually said, hey, you have a degree in audiovisual production management. Let's use it. Come work for us. And that's when I met Dr. Richard Botha.
Absolutely, absolutely, and congratulations. I mean, obviously, all of those things, um, you needed to get to that in order, because you know what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher would just suddenly appear.
Reveal it.
But there's something about you being intense at a church, and I'm just going to ask this with utmost love and respect. Were you
Mhm.
around the church during Sunday, and weren't there any other people that could have helped at that particular time, or was it
Okay,
because it was
so
nobody was coming to church?
it was COVID. No one was coming to church. Let me just explain my Christianity relationship. I feel is a very personal one. So it's my relationship with God.
Oh,
I had been to that church several times before where I tried to change myself from past habits, but it had an influence. It lingered during while I was praying and everything, but we knew it was a safe haven
right,
and that's a safe spot to be at because people weren't around and we would be left alone. So
right.
we didn't want to get in trouble with any authorities. But religion has always been very important to us as well. Praying, talking to him, having discussions and asking for guidance and power, being able to manage any situation that you are in. Prayer was one of the things I did to be able to convince myself and know that I can change because I'm pretty sure that I heard him. I heard God. And
Absolutely.
he told me things will get better. Even though I went through everything that I went through, I always had almost a naive optimism. Oh, everything will be okay. And I still strive towards that.
Absolutely. You see, to whom much
Mm.
is given, much is required. So, with what it is that you now hold in your hands, that needed to happen. That trial period needed to happen in order for you to then go through whatever it is, that you are now helping others with. And you can't have a testimony without a test. So this is probably one of those that are happening right now. But you did mention the name Richard Botha. He enters the
Yes.
story. Who is he, and why should anybody care?
Okay. He is a brilliant mind. I can put it that way. So while I was working in the water shop, one of his employees walked into the shop, and that's where I had a random conversation. I have a degree. And he said, okay, I'm going to go back to my office and speak to Richard, but I'll let you know. 2 days later, I had an interview. I went to the office. Actually, sorry, he didn't mention Richard's name. I went to the office, had an interview, and Richard kind of walked in and said, okay, you're starting next week. And that's it. So it all came very fast and at such a fast pace. I didn't even see it coming, but suddenly I had employment in the corporate world, and it had to do with my degree, which was audiovisual. I can edit, I can create voiceovers, and tell a story. And that's one of my underlying themes is how you tell your story, your why. Your story is what compels people. And when I met Richard, I was taken aback. Wow, he doesn't even really know me. He didn't have the full interview with me, but he's given me a chance. And at that moment, I knew I'm going to prove myself to myself, and I'm going to grow. My situation will change. At that point, my daughter was living with her father. I was barely seeing her. And I had a vision of a happy family that I wanted. And I knew I had to do something and give my everything to this position. So when he walked in and showed leadership and took a chance on me, I had to show to myself how much I needed it and how much I appreciate the fact that he took a chance on me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, half of the time when we don't have our own self belief, we could use other people's belief in us in order for us to then, see it in ourselves. And when that then matches, then that's when the magic happens. But
And
let me
yes,
just challenge you here a little bit. I mean, obviously, you seem to have been doing all right in your tents, and you were using everything seemed a-okay. Otherwise, you would have left a long time ago. Why now? Many people meet people that can seemingly change their lives, tell them something that they've never probably heard from a while. Why did this work on you, and what did you actually do differently?
Okay, so that's a brilliant question. Thank you very much. So why now? First off, we knew that if we carried on with our habits, we were going to end up either in the ground or never see our children ever again. And it's a horrible lifestyle, and it's something that I don't wish for anyone, even though that you are trying to numb the pain of reality. It's essentially what's happening, or what you think is reality, because you think life is happening to you. When I met Richard and I was given this chance, I changed everything. I turned into the 5 a.m. club. Health became a priority because I want to be around for my daughter. As you can relate, not having a parent is horrible. And my health is important to me because I want to be here for my daughter and I want to see her success. Because at the same time, I'm trying to break generational curses. I want to make sure that my daughter never gets stuck in a mental frame of mind as I was, that I needed to be accepted or I needed to change myself in order to succeed in life. And that is why I mentioned to you in the beginning that she is one of my biggest whys, that people in life do not need to suffer the way that we do, especially mentally, the way that we have our little voices speak to ourselves, telling ourselves, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, that person's opinion is better. All of that, I wanted to take that away from her. I wanted her to have full confidence, know how brilliantly created she is, divinely created she is, and that other people's opinions are theirs, and they are allowed to have their opinions, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's why I believe in consistently trying. You try and try and try and get all the no's until you find your yes. And my habits completely changed. I took personal development on. I knew that every day I just wanted to be 1% better than the day I was yesterday, the person I was yesterday. I knew that taking in as much information from all these impactful people I have around me now is going to help me. So daily habit, take a bus to work, read on a bus, personal development, get to work, listen to any type of podcast that has to do with success or changing your life. And then actually creating another podcast based on that one. And everything influenced and it snowballed. And when you live by values, what's your integrity? What do you believe in? Is honesty a value for you? Is truth, is loyalty a value? Is consistency and effort a value to you? It changes your whole perspective on life, rather than, oh, woe is me, what's going to happen today, to I'm going to have a successful day because I know every day's effort takes me that 1 inch forward to where I want to be. So it's a complete change.
Absolutely. This is not the girl I would have walked across when she's trying to rush to her tent, right? Because I feel like you completely made a choice to be where you are today. And you made a decision not to ever be that person again. All right.
Exactly.
What does that look like for you as a person, knowing who you were before and knowing who you are now? I mean, this practically only time has changed, but a lot within the person has also changed. I don't think I'll be able to sit with you while you were still using, because you would have maybe wanted to go off for a fix.
Probably, yes. I was a highly annoying person. I was too much. I am an energizer bunny. I am full of positivity. I try and see the positive or the opportunity or the lesson in any difficult situation. Back then it was purely, how can I get, where can I party, and when's the next one again? And I was annoying. I was embarrassing. And I didn't have character. I believe character is where it comes from, because you're completely right. It was a choice and a decision. And the guilt that I felt from using and possible people's judgments, it broke me down on the inside. And as soon as you make that choice, that decision, and decide to make daily choices that will lift you up in life and get you further ahead, that's when you start seeing the real result. That's when you start carrying yourself higher. You're no longer scrunched over. You're proud of who you are because you're an honest person. You're a loyal person. You're a person that that serves, that contributes. And then my creativity bloomed. I had this new platform and I was in the corporate world, and I can use my talents, my studies to convey different messages, to be able to help brands tell impactful stories, to be able to show the audience you deserve what's good for you. And it just comes down to life is choices. Every choice we make gets us to the point we are. And you can tomorrow make a different choice.
I like that. And I like that a lot because, as you say, whatever society paints you as, that's not who you are until you've made the decision that I am going to change. So for whoever's watching right now, if you feel like maybe you're drifting, you probably have no direction, no leadership, no map, then obviously you should know that Jean-Mari knows that feeling very well. And I think this is what she's just coming back and letting us know, that you too can be, do, and have a happier existence if you only just decide that this is who I'm going to be, this is how I'm going to live my life, and this is how I'm going to proceed. But
definitely,
the very thing that got you to start using Jean-Mari was being accepted by people and everything else that was happening to you, and
yeah,
you wanting to be the Energizer bunny. And I think we should christen you as the Duracell now, because you've been sitting with me. You've been, you've been sitting with me for 30 minutes now, and thank you. All right. But were there any fears? Now, you've started stepping into this leadership, you're becoming this person, and you're into content creation. Were you not afraid that people will start judging you, or people will seeing you for who exactly you are and who you were and things of that nature? Walk me through that, Jean-Mari, the Duracell.
Yes. Okay. So yes, there was definitely a huge fear. But for some reason, I consistently told myself, I can do this. And if I can't do this, I'll figure out how. There's nothing we can't achieve. If we put enough time and effort into something, we can achieve it. And I already came to the realization that I fell into a dark hole because I was too concerned about other people's opinions about me. And as soon as I changed the perspective from I am defined by myself, I knew that every effort I put in, even if a video was a horrible mess and didn't convey a message properly and didn't have any clicks or likes or anything like that, at least I learned something from it. There's always something to be learned from that fear space. Why are we fearing it? Why are we feeling this way? But we should be brave enough to consistently post, put the video out there. Don't be afraid of the photo. Tell your story. That's where the creamy juiciness lies. Telling your story has impact. Telling your story provides you with reflection. It provides other people with guidance. And I was no longer afraid to be judged by other people because I felt strong and confident in who I was. I was now serving in the corporate world, having an impact by helping people with their healthcare, as well as Richard's book that he's written, to be able to carry across the laws that he has taught me. And I truly feel that I am a success in my own definition. I have a family, I have loving pets, I have a loving partner. I am seen as a positive person, and it's all from inside out, not outside in.
Well, you forgot one crucial thing. You are on the Online Prosperity Show today, and that in and of itself is incredible. Thank you for
Yes,
the
thank you
journey
so
you're
much.
taking. All right. I mean, obviously, let's keep going with the accolades. You said you're serving in the corporate world. You've got lovely pets. Your family's, you're proud of it now. You bought your first car over 30. You got your daughter back. You bought your first house in 2025. Congratulations. Now,
Thank you.
which one of those moments hit the hardest emotionally, and why?
Okay. The day I got it back.
Oh,
So there's always co-parenting issues, and people have difficulties co-parenting, but we all got to focus on who's important, and that is the child. Now, I had this a little bit of a sense of jealousy because what I wanted to do was tuck my daughter in every night. But at that point, I was collecting her every second weekend. So it wasn't an every night situation. And like I said, I wanted to teach my daughter mindset for life, that your thoughts control your feelings. You can invest in yourself as a young person by putting time and effort into your academics. And that day that I got her back and I tucked her in that first night, it was pure magic.
oh,
Pure magic. I had love. I wanted to cry. I wanted to laugh, and I wanted to just give her a big hug. But it's time for bed because she had school tomorrow. Yeah, that was a truly emotional one, because I wanted her with her mom, and I had always had a vision that I'm going to be with my daughter, and then I got it.
mm.
And
So
all I now had left to do, sorry, just one more thing. All I had left to do now was be there for her forever. And that's my main goal.
fantastic. How old is she now?
She's 12 years old. She's about as tall as I am, and she already wants to be a South African judge because she wants to give fair law in South Africa.
How amazing. How amazing. And talking about serving, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, in health and in personal development, how does you now are using your degree and loud electronic media? Tell us a little bit about, that now and how you're now serving others as well.
Okay, so I love to serve. I want to help people realize, first off, in the personal development space, you are completely capable. Our lovely creator has given us inner faculties that allow us to envision something and then build it. I mean, whatever you can think of, you can create. And it's vitally important for everybody in this world to know that no matter what situation you are in, it can change. It's just deliberate daily choices, as John Maxwell would say. It's daily habits that get you there. In the health sector, we have a little bit of an up and down healthcare situation in South Africa. However, we are trying to make sure that everybody has access to understanding how your medical aid works, access to care after a severe health event. Besides that, community pharmacies with GPs inside, really truly supporting not you just as an individual, but the whole family, the whole unit, because you are made up of those components. Your family is important to you. And health is important, living a preventative lifestyle, because we don't want our life expectancy to run out before we thought we would live till. And one of the biggest important things there is that unexpected happens to people, but there are ways to manage it. There's Cura Health in the phlebotomy world. We have Cura Med, which is a community-based pharmacy with a GP, which is affordable even if you don't have a medical aid. We also have Cura Care, which is after severe health events. We take care of you. We are the middleman. We are then there to be the support structure for the family, because they are normally the ones that turn into the nurse after the stroke or something like that. And we want to make sure that South Africa feels they are able to access healthcare, have healthcare, and get the correct healthcare at the correct time, not wait for something to be approved through a policy type of thing. So serving through corporate world is one of my favorite things to do. And one of my favorite things to do is about tell a story with a video, because there I get to put graphics and footage together and have music that even lets you feel what I'm trying to tell you about. And it all just brings my creativity together, and I get to serve in that manner.
I love that because have you ever noticed, when a video is played, even the video that you showed me earlier on, you're taking people on a journey and you're taking them on an emotional up and down, wanting them to feel certain things, be that person, and also, take part and see themselves in the story. And I kind of
Yes,
feel like that was given to you because if you didn't hit rock bottom, you wouldn't have that depth.
yes. I completely agree. That depth, that deeper thinking of what this word will do to the person's emotion, or will this change their perspective? Will this song or this note or this melody stir that emotion that I can. Let me conquer this. And if I didn't hit rock bottom, I would never be the person I am today. And unfortunately, we do reflect in hindsight, and we think it makes sense when we look back, and we can't plan it forward that way. But everything happened for a reason, and I'm grateful for everything that I've been through, because I wouldn't have the success that I have now if it wasn't for that.
Absolutely. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for people that so many people take things for granted. And that's the reason why a lot of people just think content creation is just about flashy visuals and whatever whiz bang
Exactly.
that might be coming out. What are they actually missing if they're putting out content like that?
Okay, so content is meant to be strategic. We have to, like the same thing with life. We have to think and plan our lives in order to get to a certain place. And when it comes to your content and the messages you're trying to convey, it is vitally important to understand your audience. You need to understand what their pain points are, what your service or what your product is going to provide them. Are you going to relieve them of an issue? Are you going to make something better? Or are you going to provide them with that eliteness that they want? Nobody wants to struggle. Nobody wants to sit in pain or have a healthcare issue. And the thing is, you need to think about the audience, plan the message, and then make sure that you are asking them to do something. And when you do that and you watch the content that you've already put out and observe the analytics, what gets interacted mostly with. Video is on specifically on LinkedIn, one of the biggest things that you could have, because it catches attention. But the message within the video needs to allow the person to understand that a pain point is being handled, that your desire is coming true, or let's put it in the personal development space, that you deserve the success that you dream of. You as a person deserve that feeling of contribution, being part of a community, being part of an ecosystem within the world. We are all one tiny speck that makes everything run, and one is not more than the other. We all have our unique skills and input that we add to every situation. So when you're creating your content, think about your audience, the mindset, where they are, but also at the same time, don't let perfection hold you back. Post. Don't be afraid to be authentically you. The message has to come from the heart, that you really want to serve this person, and that you can be there to be a voice for them, to help them find a voice, or to just at least have peace of mind within their health, their family's health, and knowing that if something happened, there is someone to lean on.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful way to put it. And for those that are watching right now and are very intrigued maybe by your journey and the things that you're doing, what's the best way that people can get a hold of you?
Okay, so I am easily available on LinkedIn. Send me a message and then I will most probably reply in 2 minutes. Besides that, you could also contact me through Richard's website as well, because I do advocate for that. And any email that comes through there, I will also see. Further than that, also follow me on Facebook if you could. Yeah, Facebook. That's all.
Now, for those that are watching right now, if you've been drifting, if you've been blaming circumstances or just waiting for motivation or waiting for a sign, maybe this video was it. Let this episode be that wake-up call, because as Jean-Mari is saying, success is not random. It's a daily choice. You got to choose every single day to be the person that you want to become. And it's stacked over time. There are no shortcuts. So I encourage you to follow Jean-Mari on all the links that I'm going to be putting at the bottom there, so that you too can get started today, but make that the first decision that you have made today. Because as she says, it's only decisions and making a choice that's standing in your way. Now, Jean-Mari, indulge me for a little bit here.
Okay.
What you went through is somewhat akin to a rite of passage, where you were brought in to feel, learn, experience, do, and be all the things that happened, even though while you were in the port, it was hot, it was uncomfortable, it was rough, but you were being cooked into this gorgeous meal that you're now serving out to people here.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happens to a seed, Jean-Mari? When a seed is put in the ground, you cover it with soil. You're a visual artist, you'd notice from the point of view of the seed, it looks like it's being buried.
Yes.
But that's how we plant seeds.
Yes. And I like to say it's from seed to success. It's a growth journey.
You did mention how your why is your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And you introduced us to your mum at a tender age of 8 when you went to that concert with her. If she would see the person that just spoke on this podcast today, what would she say?
Can I speak Afrikaans? Well done, my pop. She would have said that. She would have been proud. That question that she asked me about when am I gonna find direction in life? Now, I found it, and she would be very proud. I know she's proud. I know she's proud.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And now that you've brought us into your world and we now know everything, we're probably going to be retracing all the steps of what you did and telling other people your story as well. What's next? What are you working on that we can be excited about? And because this just sounds like a book in the making.
So that is something that I am considering. At the moment, though, it is vitally important to me to get Richard's message out, because his book, let me just show you here, his book, The Alchemy of Success, is 118 Laws for a Legendary Life. And it is based on the idea of Mendeleev's element table, where we know that the universe works with all the elements together. Some work together, one on its own, but they all have an interaction and create this wonderful molecule, the solids that we see around us. Now, his book takes laws in our personal lives, whether it be for your personal life, your professional life, as a business leader, or just a leader in general, and takes all these different elements and laws together and makes you understand that vision works, but vision works with strategy. In order to get to where you want to be, you need to have your vision, but then you need to implement your strategy. And your strategy needs to be consistent. And if that isn't consistent, how do you optimize what you already have, or how do you get rid of what you don't need? His book is a blueprint, a guideline, and it also gives you weekly challenges to write down and think about hard questions that you need to answer for yourself. Unfortunately, that's the scary part about our society, is that most people think 3% of people, most people don't think, 3% of people think they think, and only 1% of people actually think. The idea is to get into the 1%, to plan the life, to see where you can work on yourself. How can you improve your listening skills, your responding skills? How can you be a contribution to your organization? And if I could really just motivate people to go online, go to Richard's website, order the book, and start diving in. It's amazing what happens when you just change that little bit of a mindset, knowing that these laws will guide you to where you need to be. So our focus is actually on that at the moment, but hopefully soon there'll be something out about my journey as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you say it's the Alchemy of Success, the 118 laws for a legendary life. And for those that are watching right now, we'll drop the link below, because I think this book clearly wasn't just information for Jean-Mari. It was an activation. And definitely, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do with this information. Now, Jean-Mari, thank you so much for your time, sharing your journey and your expertise with us on the Online Prosperity Show today.
It's a big pleasure. Thank you so much, Prosper, for taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are watching, thank you too for making it this far. If this episode maybe shifted something in you, I encourage you to share it with somebody who just needs that reminder that their story is not over yet, because so many people give up before they've even started the race. And if somebody has brought you to the Online Prosperity Show, the next time you see them, just give them the biggest hug you have, because they saw something in you that you probably haven't seen in yourself. And stick around, because the next episode we're going to be talking about ideas that will help you create a happier, more fulfilled existence. We're not just talking finance, but we're talking mentally and emotionally. All right. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching or listening to this, because this is the Online Prosperity Show, where transformation isn't theory, but it is actually lived. Now, Jean-Mari, thank you once again for rewriting your story on the show and for showing others that they too can be to and have a happier existence.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I really love that you've been using the word drift. I don't want anyone to drift. I want you all to know that success is there and it's yours to take.
Absolutely. And I don't know what you're going to do with this information. Bye for now.